looking Brook Lopez showing out here in the Eastern Conference Final.
Regardless of what happens, you have to keep playing with energy and keep competing. That's the bottom line.
Just like that, the pressure dials up a notch in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Raptors know they must win a game on the road to take this series. And tonight is an important opportunity.
It's the beauty of the playoffs. Nothing matters but getting wins.
This is a critical game that we need to go get.
Some teams need to be pushed, but the Bucks don't rely on must-win desperation. Instead, they have a can-win confidence that their total team concept will carry the day.
When this man gets going, this Milwaukee team goes to another level. He is the post in this offense. My goodness. And he puts it down. We are seeing full display of great athleticism.
Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals on TNT.
It is a Friday night in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and Mother Nature has reminded us that spring isn't really here in full effect yet. Very cool and breezy Friday evening, but they have shown up in force in the Deer District to cheer on the Milwaukee Bucks again as they try to take a 2-0 lead over Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. Kawhi with 31 in the opener, an 8-point win for the Bucks. Trying to tie things up against the Greek Freak and the #1 seed, the team with the best record in the NBA this year, the Milwaukee Bucks. And here we are at Fiserv Forum, where 17,500 will sell this joint out before it's all over for Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Ernie Johnson, Kenny the Jet Smith, Charles Barkley.
I am so excited we finally got rid of Shaq.
It is.
I've been trying to do that for years, America. Y'all can thank me.
Well, we didn't exactly, in your words, get rid of him, because whenever there's a big crowd, Shaq needs to be in the middle of it, and he is tonight.
Yeah, Ernie. I'm out here with the Milwaukee fans. Hands up, Milwaukee fan. When you hear the song, I want you to jump and get crazy. Show them how we do it in Milwaukee. Let's go. Jump. Jump. Let's jump. 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 Everybody say go, Bucks, go, go, Bucks, go, go. Say go, Bucks. Let me hear you say go, Bucks. Let me hear you say Barkley sucks. Say it. One more time. Barkley sucks. Louder. Again. Louder. 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 Go, Bucks, go. Good luck tonight, Milwaukee fans. Love you.
I love that dude.
You love a guy who says, say Barkley sucks?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
As long as people talk
All right,
about
Barkley
you.
sucks.
Remember that. If
You love me too?
People only talk about you if you're important. Nobody ever mentions your name except you.
You know now he has set quite the precedence, because when he gets to Toronto now, he's going to have
he's
to do
gotta go out
something
there.
at Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait to get to Jurassic Park. You know what I feel about Toronto.
Yeah.
My favorite city in the world. Cannot wait to get there.
So we're here for the next hour because the tip-off is just after 7:30 local time. And we're on for an hour tonight because a big chunk of this show is the announcement of the finalists for the NBA Awards. That, of course, is June 24th, that Monday night. And you'll see the Kia Most Valuable Player, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Sixth Man, Most Improved, and Coach of the Year finalists announced on this show. And again, June 24th, 9 o'clock Eastern Time on TNT. But first things first, let's talk about Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And I happen to have it on good authority that Kristen Ledlow has just gotten out of her coaches' meetings, which she and Marv and C-Webb and Reggie Miller attend. I don't know if you're going to shed any light from what they had to say, but what you got on your mind for Game 2?
It's a good guess, Ernie. I did just get out of the coaches' meeting, and thank you for being so patient as Shaq led the beautiful Barkley sucks chant. But after Milwaukee's comeback win in Game 1, you may remember Brooke Lopez told me, this is what's been going on all season. We haven't hung our heads. We haven't given up. They hit us, but we hit back. So Coach Nick Nurse has addressed the adjustments that his team needs to make ahead of Game 2, and he says it's time that they hit back.
I thought we let them push us around just a bit. We blocked out, they did us in the back. We'd end up under the basket, they'd put it back in. We had a couple chances for sandwich rebounds and we didn't do it. And there was a couple long ricocheted ones that somebody just needs to throw it in high gear and try to run them down and beat them to the ball.
Ernie, I also spoke to Kyle Lowry this morning, who posted 30 and 8 despite a sprained left thumb. Now, he has been wearing a compression glove that's meant to keep his blood flowing, circulating, and keep his hand warm. He did tell me, though, it hurts, but I'm still going to play. EJ.
Okay, so, Christian, you're not going to give me any kind of nuggets from the coaches' meeting? Any little piece of gold there that's going to say, oh, wow, really?
Well, we did try to hitch a ride on the Bucks plane from Milwaukee to Toronto due to some flight issues. However, we were declined.
Oh, okay. Well, that's only appropriate that
I
would
asked
happen.
for you as well, and
No.
even dropping your name wasn't
That's
enough.
probably what killed the deal. Thank you, Kristen. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
So we look at Game 2, and before we do that, did anybody else think that it looked like Tony Parker, who was behind Nick Nurse?
Did look like a Tony Parker.
You know who that
Parker's-
is? That's John Schumann of NBA.com.
Well, unfortunately, he can't shoot like Tony Parker.
Or dribble, or run, or jump.
All right, so fourth quarter of Game 1, 32-17, the Bucks outscore the Raptors, and the offensive numbers were staggering in that fourth quarter. Kyle Lowry had 14. The rest of the team had 3 on 0 of 15 shooting, and well, there's been much made when you read what's being written and what players and coaches are saying after Game 1 about the number of minutes Toronto players logged in that first game. I mean, because Nick Nurse is basically playing 7 guys, he's playing an 8th a little bit, and there's talk about managing minutes and that kind of thing, and when you get to the fourth quarter, having being a little more fresh.
Yeah.
Validity to that?
That's one of the reasons I'm embarrassed at the NBA today. Guys get days off in between games. They complain about playing 40 minutes. That's bogus, Ernie. Listen. Man,
hello, Shaq.
Hey, big ugly.
I was saying Barkley love, and they translated it to Barkley sucks. I'm sorry. No, Barkley love. Barkley Lux.
But listen, I think you obviously play more minutes this late in the season. You don't play less minutes. You don't play back-to-back games. And so that's an excuse. If you can't play 45 minutes or 42, 44 minutes in the Eastern Conference Finals, you shouldn't be here. And nobody's getting tired. Nobody's tired. So that's just excuses. Toronto did not play well. They played very well in Game 1. They should have won game and one they didn't. That's what they need to address.
Yeah, I mean, minutes played.
Give me a break.
You know, I mean, to me, I don't think that's an issue. And I don't think I've heard that from Kawhi Leonard, Siakam, or Lowry saying, hey, we played too many minutes. That is the outside forces talking that, who particularly may not have been in the trenches before. But when you're in the trenches, that's not a lot of minutes. But the one thing that everyone's like, oh, wow, they should be nervous. I would be encouraged if I'm the Toronto Raptors. You don't have to win 3 games here in Milwaukee. You have to win a game. If you win a game here, you win the series if you win at home. You just have to win one. And if you and you have to expect that you're not going to win all the games here. But you can put forth the effort. They put forth a good effort. They do have a game plan that is working. You just have to continue to execute it. I would not be worried if I was a Toronto Raptor.
And what a lot of people don't understand, when you get this far in the playoffs, there is no practice. You don't practice, right? You come in, you do film session, you do a little shoot around, 35, 45 minutes to an hour. So, Chuck, I agree with you. 42, 45, that's an excuse. Great players are made here. Their names are made here. Everybody has to get through it.
But still in all, Milwaukee won Game 1. Giannis didn't have a monster game. This guy came out of nowhere with 29 points after scoring 27 points in the Boston series total.
And you know what I'd say, Ernie? Do it again. Because we're going to play the same defense, and we're going to give you those same shots, those same long three-pointers, and you're 7'2". You're going to have to make them. and we'd rather have you doing that. If you can get 30 for every game of this series and we lose, congratulations.
We shake your hand.
We shake your hand. But we're not going to let Giannis get 40 because we know he could do that. So for me, again, as a Toronto Raptor, I would be encouraged saying I don't believe that Brook Lopez or anyone else can get 30 other than Giannis.
But I know Giannis is young, but I'm already putting him in that category of a Barkley or of a Kobe. You're not going to slow him down 4 or 5 games in series. He had a bad game. The others pulled him through like they're supposed to, but you're not going to keep him to 19, 20 points. I see that look in his eye.
All right, let's talk about the NBA awards, and let's get to the first category so we can reveal the finalists.
Well, they say living your best life, going right, all of the things you can ask for. Plus, by the way, a real good expenditure of $3.38 million for the Bucks. Speaking of smart decisions for Brook Lopez, who we know all year, guys, as you look at the three-point attempts, he has spread the floor. He has been outside. It has helped Giannis. But how about the game that he had, Ray? Defensively, the rebounds, obviously the 29 points. He was, a lot of the game, the best player on the floor.
Yeah, he was. And you talk about, what he's doing inside the paint. As much as we're looking at the threes that he shot, like, he's active. We're talking about energy points. We're talking about hustle points, block shots, like tip-ins. That's invaluable in the playoffs.
He had one move where he, spun to the basket in the paint, activated old school net style, because he used to be such a great post player. But the energy that he brought, Smitty, and that's the thing. I mean, even when you go away from Giannis, to have other guys bring that energy, what does that mean to the team as a whole? And how tough is that for the other team? Because you're already trying to pay attention to 2 All-Stars in Giannis and in Middleton.
Whenever you get contribution from a guy like Brook Lopez, when you're keying on, Middleton, you're keying on Giannis, it just gives everybody energy. And I think, as a player, you see him doing the hustle points. Ray talked about it. And B. Wood, I want to talk to you about it. It was the rebounding and the block shots. I hadn't seen Brook Lopez block this many shots, B. Wood. And the timing he had, and it seems like he was going after guys' shot. I think other than the threes, we all know that was a plus. I love the energy on the block shots and rebound. And talk to me, B. Wood, as a big, why can't he bring that energy every game? Because you're always not going to hit shots, especially those deep threes. Can he bring at least 8, 9, 10 rebounds and 2 block shots a game in the series?
Well, listen, I agree with you. Everybody was talking about the 29 points. I was more shocked at the 11 rebounds because even when he was an all-star, when he played in Brooklyn, Brook Lopez wasn't a guy that grabbed a lot of rebounds. He was a guy to get his 20, 25 points, but he might have 4 or 5 rebounds. So to see him go out there, get those 11 rebounds, be active on the glass, I think it was key. It was huge for that team. And listen, I don't have the answers why some guys rebound better than others. I think Brook has some limitations as far as speed and agility. And so he boxes out, and whatever rebounds come to him, that's what rebounds he gets. He doesn't rebound like a guy you play with, like Kevin Garnett, who rebounded outside of his area. It was amazing to me to see Garnett might box me out on one side of the lane and go chase the rebound on the other side. Brook doesn't have that level of athleticism, so I think that's why you don't see a lot of high rebound numbers for him. And then as he's gotten older, he's just been saying, hey, I got to conserve some of my energy. And he used to put more energy into the offensive end instead of the defensive end. And this game, you put it all together.
See, confidence, though. I tell you, if you think about his confidence when he's making shots, you know the guy, you give them an extra pass, you give him an extra shot, throw him a bone. Now, all of a sudden, he takes a charge. He's like, I want more of this. And you see that start to snowball for Brook Lopez, and then, they have more confidence in him. So I'll be curious to see what he does tonight.
Tell me about this, Ray. He shot 31 threes his first 8 years in the league. He shot 512 this season.
Woo! How many?
No, 31 total in 8 seasons. 512 attempts this season.
The real question is, could he shoot threes then, or did the game change?
Oh, so you're trying to say some of his coaches held him back?
Because it's one of those things, like you see that kid on the playground. Since he's 6 feet at the age of 10, everybody says, go stand underneath the basket. But he's actually a guy that can shoot the ball. And I think now you're seeing players, big guys that shoot the ball because they really know how to shoot it. And I think the league is right now is conducive to big guys shooting it.
I'm just glad you got to see the teamwork we roll with here on Friday Night Live, where Smitty was talking threes and made sure to transition to the leading shot blocker in the history of North Carolina into a shot blocking conversation, not to ask Brendan, who was probably not one of the people Ray's talking about, right? Who were
what you trying to do? I know my personality. You trying to come between us?
Hey, he's the point guard of the show. Listen, I don't know anything about hitting threes.
Hey,
I set some screens to get some guys.
You shot a couple, though. You shot a couple.
Only when the shot clock was running down.
Hey,
you made one? You made one, B-Wood?
Did not.
That was in an age where they weren't worried about their own field goal percentage when that shot. Anyway, so let's talk about where we're at with the point guard. You mentioned that position. Eric Bledsoe wasn't an all-star, but he at times played like that this season, defensively engaged. He's been a huge part of things. Didn't have his best game in game one, was kind of rusty. How important is it, Ray, that he's a big factor if they're going to win game two?
Very important. He's one of those players that you notice when he doesn't do something as opposed to he had a great game. You know, he can't have, you know, a donut. He's got to have some assists. He's an athletic guard, so he's going to get some rebounds. He's going to do the injury thing. Those small things with him in his position, you're going to notice a lot more than if he had a big 25, 30-point game.
You know, the other thing is that it helps when you have a guy like Brogdon, right? I mean, going back to you kind of where we were before, because he plays 26 minutes. And George Hill, they got three guys that they can trust who can all, and I know there's not prototypical point guard Smitty anymore, but it's somebody who played the one coming in, then played the two. Guys who could do a little bit of both. They can really go with any combos they want at the guard position.
Well, for me, it's not only that. For me, it's Bledsoe. So you just look at a lineup they had. They had Chris Middleton, fantastic three-point shooter, and Brogdon. I think he shot 40% this year. You have Brook Lopez as a 5 that's going to stretch the floor way back, and you have Giannis with attention. To me, as a point guard, that's a dream come true, B. Wood. Not to say my stats are going to go crazy far as scoring. I can get whatever I want. I run a screen and roll with Brook Lopez. I know the guy's going to hedge for a minute. He got to get back. Giannis, no one's going to leave Giannis, and you're not leaving shooters. I just want to see Eric Bledsoe get downhill more, make more of an impact. And he doesn't have to have the assists, doesn't have to have the score. Just be creative of getting into that paint and making sure he collapses the defense.
Obviously, a lot to break down with the two beasts of the East. I was saying this a couple of days ago, doing a pregame for Game 1. Everybody said Philadelphia and Boston, the sexy picks, but the two best teams were here. Did you say threes? Because the Bucks, they made and attempted the second most, because really you can only do that because the Rockets still play. We'll talk to a guy who knows a thing or two or three about shooting from deep.